Push the got button. You're all set. Have a good meeting.
Okay, great, thank you. Please, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Tonight is Tuesday, July 25th, and this is the meeting of the Scituate Select Board. May I ask for an motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Second by Mr. Witter, second by Mrs. Connolly, all in favor? Aye. I'd like to read our support of diversity and equity first, which is the Scituate Select Board is committed to providing an environment of respect during meetings. We ask all members to interact in a polite manner, even when there is disagreement. We value the participation of our community and want all participants, including marginalized and minoritized communities, to feel welcomed and respected. We ask our committee members and all who participate to commit to these standards to support and respect our community. So with that, I just wanted to also have a commentary with regards to an incident that happened last week in our town. Last week, we had 2 residents report to the superintendent of schools that there was some hate messages, if you will, Museum Beach directed specifically towards the Scituate Public Schools Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Jamil Adams. It was extremely disturbing for all of us who saw it. Superintendent Burke had reported it directly to the police immediately. The matter is under investigation by the police. But I really want to take this opportunity publicly to let Jamil know that this board supports him very strongly, the work that he's doing today. I think this shows that we've got a little bit more work cut out for us in our community to continue to foster an inclusive and accepting type of community that we are. What was written is not reflective. I hope for the majority of us, certainly not reflective of anyone on this board or anyone in town hall or anyone in the schools. So we support Jamil in his efforts. I know he's not deterred, and he, in his typical way, just turned it around to a positive way, which to take this as more lessons that need to be taught. And I ask that the parents and the leaders in this community continue to strive to teach inclusion and acceptance of everyone, all types of people that live in our community. So I'm sorry this happened in our community, and we look forward to hopefully the police investigation come to a positive result. Maybe difficult, but I have a lot of confidence in our institutions. So with that, I will ask if there are any walk-ins this evening. Yes. Yep, name and address.
Tom Secor, 14 Beacon Road in Scituate. So I'm going to piggyback off of what we just talked about, Ms. Curran. By now, most of us have been made aware of a very troubling incident, in a short statement, that occurred on Museum Beach in Scituate on or around July 14th. The Scituate Public Schools, including the school committee, Scituate Select Board, Scituate Stride, Scituate Pride, and the South Shore Unity Council have all come together and issued statements expressing solidarity in their condemnation of vile acts of intimidation and hate that were perpetrated upon Mr. Jamil Adams, Scituate Public Schools Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Mr. Adams has lent his unwavering spirit, love, expertise, and energy to this town in the 2+ years that he has held his position. His mantra of love, inclusion, and trust is infectious, and we are lucky to have him working with our kids and the wider community. The fact that he is now the unquestioned target for such a disgusting display on one of our public beaches is unacceptable and not something that we will soon forget. This incident, and several that have preceded it, does reinforce that there's much more work to be done as it pertains to racism and bigotry on the South Shore. Scituate is not immune to this problem. We look forward to continued discussion on this hate incident with town leadership and the community at large. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And for the record, Tom has been our chair of our diversity, equity, and inclusion committee, so very well stated, as always. Any other walk-ins this evening? All right, turn over to Jim.
Evening. We'll start as always with our water update. The reservoirs at +2, Tac Factory Pond is at +3. Average daily demand is 1.425 million gallons. Just as a comparison, at this time last year, the reservoir was minus 27.75. Tac Factory Pond was minus 13.5. So we're in good shape water-wise. I spoke to Kevin, I spoke to Eric. This is about the most water we've had this late in the summer that anybody can remember. So that's a good thing. We ask people to continue to conserve. We still have a month of hot weather coming up, but right now we are in good shape water-wise going into the last month of the summer. Rainfall in the last 7 days is 1.63. That's a lot of reason we have a lot of water. As I updated the board last time, the lighthouse renovations are ongoing. We've given the contractor to go ahead and get out an additional 4 feet. We took the slab off, we went down 4 feet because we knew there wasn't good internal composition to hold up that slab when we put it back on. We got down 4 feet, we've still not found good, solid support within the walls to support that structure, so we're gonna get another 4 feet and then check again and see what we come up with. So the contractor and give them that direction while the engineer tries to work out what we're gonna find when we get down 4 feet. We're waiting and are hitting very hard on our consultant to see what this is gonna cost us. We will potentially be asking for additional monies from CPC just to be on the safe side to make sure if it goes a little over what we have, that we don't have to completely stop the project. But we're hoping to have those numbers by the end of the week delayed. On a good note, some people were able to go last week up to the contractor's facility and they saw the fabrication land room, steel fabrication, they fabricated, they put it together. We will be getting some pictures of that, we'll be putting them up. That'll allow me taken apart, set out to be galvanized, and then put back together. Last week installed with that is on schedule. But we are behind schedule on this because we keep finding things. Anybody who owns an old house knows once you start taking down walls, fine. So we did the first 4 feet, had to come down. The second 4 feet is a little bit of a surprise to us, but hoping when we get down that part, that will be good to get ready to go back up. And then we'll put concrete again, pour a dome, and then wrap it and brick on the outside so it matches what's already there. We want to keep reminding people they will be getting notice from their water bills that Scituate residents are purchasing a new qualifying energy efficient washing machine or dishwasher. While qualifying Smart Sense toilet will be eligible for a rebate from the town of Scituate, $250 for a washing machine or a dishwasher, and $150 for a toilet. The application links are available on the website. So if you're out there buying those appliances, make sure they qualify, send them the paperwork, and we will send you a check. Either $250 or $150. Again, everybody will be getting that in their water bills when they get their most recent water bills. If you drive down 3A, the contractor is working. It's a big job, and you'll see the contractor is working. That's a several-month project. That is the installation of the new water main from all over the pocket up to Stearns Meadow. We'll keep on that. Please use caution going down there. They are trying to keep it open today. Yesterday they had a lane closed. This is working in the middle of the road. You can see where the kind of loads of work are. That has been a long time coming. It is the first actual shovel in the ground we have in the water treatment. That's what I'm excited about that. Lorraine has asked me to let people know that we're looking for volunteers to sit on various town boards and committees. We're accepting applications for the following: Board of Health, Bylaw Review Committee, Council on Aging, Public Building Commission, Recreation Commission, Bicycle Committee, Shellfish Advisory, Veterans Advisory, Widows Walk, and the ZBA. We ask applications to be submitted by July 31st to our office. We can get the application in the office on the town website. If you have questions, you can call the office 545-8740. You can email Lorraine at ldevin@situatema.gov. Board of Health has released the weekly beach testing. Beaches all are open, so that's good. Release those every Friday. Scituate Food Pantry has again reached out asking for donations. The lead does not go in the summertime. The most needed items now are olives, pickles, relish, microwave popcorn, large bottle juice, canned clams, canned crab meat, salsa, cold healthy cereal, Jell-O, and pudding cups. Donations can be dropped off for Food Pantry Tuesday mornings 10 to 12:15 and Thursdays from 3 to 5:15. There are also 2 white bins outside the pantry. They can be dropped off at the library, village market, and Shaw's. That's really what I have for today. Not a whole lot. One other announcement. The the Recreation Commission has ordered, had ordered bike repair stands. These are stands that you put your bike on, it has all the tools attached. We ordered 2 of those have come in. So now we're looking to install by one in the North Situate area, and then either in the Greenbush or the Harbor, the other side of the site.
That's interesting.
So as part of the bike committee, that came up, Amy talked about this a while ago. It took us almost 3 months to get them. They have the air component, and they have all the tools, you just put your bike on it, fix your bike, be on your way. So they put one in North Situate, and either in the Harbor or the Greenbush.
Are the tools all secured too?
They're all secured with wire, and, yeah, so.
Any questions, Jim? Andrew?
No. Good, yeah.
Yes, Ms. Rebecca?
Ann Burbine and Chris Road. Just an FYI, starting tomorrow, Country Way from Branch Street to Ron Shones is going to be gravelled and what have you and repaved. And it will be only open to residents. So that would be another glitch if you're trying to avoid, creating. Just an FYI.
Thank you. That was yours. That was very helpful. Okay. Anything else, Jim?
So I have
Okay. Karen, did you have any questions? Okay. All right, we will move on to the first item, discussion and vote. We have Jack Manning, who is the President General of the National Society of the Sons of the American Revolution. And he's here to talk about installing a graveyard at the cemetery. Hi, Jack.
Hello. Thanks for
Welcome.
having me. I'm Steve, a member of our chapter. We have a chapter here in Scituate, General Business
Welcome.
Lincoln chapter. So, yes, we're, like you said, we're from the Sons of the American Revolution, just like the daughters, but we're the men. And one of our programs is to mark grave cemeteries that have revolutionary patriots. And our Union Cemetery here in Scituate has 18 Revolutionary War patriots buried. So I think you all have a copy of the plaque, and we do this around the country, believe it or not. No cost to the town other than they have to dig a hole and set a post. So everything else is paid for by us. And I need approval from the select board before I can even order this. It takes a while. We're probably looking at next spring if it's approved.
Great.
And, something to take. It's been very well attended around the state when we do it. A lot of people don't know they have patriot ancestors. I didn't know, but I thought I was all Irish. But my mother's, no. Sheila is not DEI, she calls herself FBI, full-blooded Irish. But I have a little Yankee blood in me. I found 8 of my patriots fought in the Revolution. It's surprising to me. My mother always said she was eligible for the DEI, we kind of looked down on her. My grandfather died when she was 8 years old, so we didn't have a physical connection. So I did the research, and a friend of mine from Birmingham taught me how to do genealogy. Sure enough, it was a patriot.
Thank you for doing that. Do you want to remind the public where the Union Cemetery is? A lot of folks may not know.
Yeah.
Duncan Street. Stockbridge Road.
South Stockbridge?
Yeah, where it splits off. The Stockbridge splits off and then you have Common Street to the left. It's right there on the right, that big cemetery. Right beside the Man of Kent Cemetery, just across the street from that. And that's the end of the place. That's the big, it's actually the largest one we have in Scituate.
Thank you. And have you reviewed the place with the DPW yet? Or will that-
Now, I haven't contacted anybody, so I had the approval, so.
Okay. Do you mind if I read some of the names?
Oh, go right ahead.
No, I think it's interesting, well, because, Ruben Bates, yeah, good luck on the next one, right? Zephaniah Cudworth, Eli Curtis,
Me too.
David Dunbar, Jesse Dunbar, Zimri Epleth, Calvin Jenkins, Gideon Jenkins, Samuel P. Jones, Captain Thomas Mann, Nehemiah Manson, Ensign Otis, Caleb Rowdy, James Turner, Stephen Vinyl, Captain William Vinyl, Barnabas Webb, and Gideon Young. Lots of old Scituate names that, you know, will resonate.
You know, Captain Scudworth's mother was a direct line to the lineage family of kings in England.
Oh.
And so he wanted to educate
We go back to.
that family, yeah.
Okay, that's it.
That family's lived here for 400 years, so I'm related to everybody. I'm a swamp Yankee. So I don't have the classification.
Well, thank you for all the research. Did anyone have any questions for Jack?
I think it's a great idea.
I think it's fabulous. My question would be, where would someone go to, any suggestions besides talking to yourself, just to learn more about these folks, kind of history, any suggestions, any books or anything that you say, this is one you really should read, or anything, just to learn more about,
The individuals.
yeah, some of these wonderful.
Well, they have a book of Army and Navy volunteers from the Revolutionary War.
14 volumes and available at the Historical Society, alphabetical list of every Massachusetts person that fought
Soldier,
either
sailor.
a soldier or a sailor during the Revolution and the Civil War as well.
And the Civil War has one too.
So,
Tells their regiments, who they fought under, very comprehensive. And so that's one way to do it. We have an organization that meets at the WPA building down in North Situate. And if you were interested in becoming a member or doing some research, this is the guy. You can find anybody. He was in charge of the whole country for a while. Jack's a big group.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Any questions from the audience? See none? Do I have a motion or any other?
No, I just wanted to mention that everyone calls it the Little Red Schoolhouse, which is no longer red.
Right.
That's where the headquarters of the Historical Society is. They're very nice people, very helpful, and if you call, they're open at different hours because it's run by volunteers, but
They're open during the day.
they,
That was the old high school, the
yes,
Little Red
yes.
Schoolhouse.
When you went,
Situate High School now. They didn't have schools back then.
Great.
thank you for the day very much.
Boogies and chisels and stuff.
And I'd just like to say, if anybody is, thinks they're related to Patriot, just to contact me and I'll help them with their application.
Yeah, if you want to become a member.
And that includes the Daughters of the American Group, there's a chapter,
Is there an email they contact you about, Jack?
it's easy, jack@manning.net.
Jack?
I'll leave my copy.
Okay, yeah. We'll put it in the minutes. Okay, great. So motion?
Yes, move to approve the placement of a Revolutionary War Patriots plaque at the Union Cemetery in Scituate.
Moved by Ms. Conley, seconded by Mr. Goodrich, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much for your efforts.
Okay,
Look forward to
Thank you,
seeing it.
if you- yeah,
Just coordinate with Kevin or Sean, right, Jim, on when they need to install it?
Yeah, just give us enough, you know, if you're expecting it in a month,
I
give us
just need
enough
something
notice.
signed by somebody that's, so they authorize the, maybe,
Yeah, let us know what it has to go on, if you have a special goal or something.
I'll send you a formal letter, Jim,
there you go.
with their approval.
It has to be formal.
Thank you. All right, so next is a public hearing at 7, so we're a little early, so we're gonna wait for that. Thank you, Jack. Is the Carlisles and McLean, they're not here yet, right? Or the church way in? Just thinking something that we can move ahead. The drift in. Yeah. Do we wanna do the outdoor entertainment?
Thank you.
Permits?
Sure.
See that one here?
Yes.
Well, let's make sure they're here, because we're. Yeah, we can do that. All right, let's move down to the disclosure vote, by municipal employee John Walker. We're gonna move to that, Lori.
What are you gonna move to?
We're gonna move down just because it doesn't require anybody who's not in attendance here right now. The disclosure by municipal employee Doug Walker for the
Yeah.
conservation committee.
Okay.
So we're just gonna move to that for now. Sure. With the way until So Doug has been a member of the Concom for several years, does an excellent job, so he was just doing his due diligence to file his disclosure form. He previously did some work with Merrill Engineers, who sometimes does come before the conservation, but he's no longer employed there. Does very little work there, and Doug has an enormous amount of integrity and but obviously recuse himself if the situation required that. So it's on page 43, I believe. Yeah, he has all the appropriate information.
And again,
Auburn.
Move that the select board, as required by Mass General Law, Chapter 268, has reviewed the Section 19 disclosure for a municipal employee, Douglas Auburn Conservation Commission. The select board has made a determination that the financial interest is not so substantial as to be deemed likely to affect the integrity of the services which the municipality may expect from the employee.
Mr. Goodrich, any discussion?
Second, sorry.
I have no choice.
It's daydream.
I know. Second by Mrs. Connolly, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, Doug, for submitting that. Let's see,
Want to do the one day?
yeah, where's that one?
As following,
Oh, new business, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah, we can do that. Let's do that. Nicely done. Bear with us, folks, as we jump around here. Ready?
Is it under largely done catering?
it's under one day wine and malt license.
Yes.
Yes.
I can tell you what. Yeah, move to approve lavishly done catering at Scituate Maritime Center for private events on August 5th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. On August 6th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. On August 11th from 11 a.m. to 2:30.
I'm sorry, that's August 13th.
I'm sorry, August 13th. From 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. and on August 19th from 7 to 10 p.m.
Moved by Mrs. Connolly, seconded by Mr. Goodrich, all in favor? Aye. Let's get that done. Let's see. 5-minute one, let's see.
Close the special town meeting warrant.
I have some questions about that, but I guess we could do that. All right. We can do that, we can do that in 5 minutes, I think, guys. Or you want to leave that for later? I think we have some questions, I don't want to go beyond 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Do we have either Fred Boykin or Kim Stewart's not here yet either? Anybody for the Oceanside departments?
There's 7:35, so you have to be handling.
That'll be 5 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Come on up, Bill.
Hi. Yeah, you're good.
Alright, so Bill, you're here to talk about a connection to the town sewer on behalf of Hathaway Country Club.
I am, and met with Kevin previously. Basically, this is more of a technical thing, this new desalinization building, which I think Fisher's has done, is kind of state of the art, which is helping clean up stuff. But the long and short of it, there was an outhouse next to that. The outhouse was torn down. There's a new handicap accessible bathroom in here that isn't connected to the town sewer. There already is a town sewer connection off of Hadley Road to the snack shack or the snack that's there. And what Kevin pointed out is under the procedures, there's 2 abutting parcels, but they're all owned by Hadley Country Club. If you wouldn't know, it's the golf course is what it is. And we're already worked out there's a half a betterment, but basically this is a seasonal use that's for the benefit of the people who play there, and it's as simple as that.
And so you're before the board because
Technically, I couldn't approve it, even though there already is a connection to one of the parcels. The second parcel does not have frontage, so that requires, meeting before the board to.
If it was all one parcel,
not an issue,
If not, an issue would be an issue.
Okay. but both parcels are owned by the country club.
Yes.
So, no.
And they had a cesspool there before, so if anything, it's approved. quality in the area.
The capacities of the machine in this instance. Question?
I just wanna be sure that if we approve this tonight, that we're not somehow or other sewering the entire country club.
The actual country club itself is on the other side of
I know where
Gannett,
it
so.
is, but this has nothing to do with any future plans to,
No.
if Hatherley decided to sell the property and build condos and we all of a sudden
No.
it's I'm just,
No, this isn't even any
I want
bedrooms,
this
no
on the
structures, it's a bathroom that literally does not include use, it's either people are going in the woods or they're going in here.
I just want this on the record first. And I also would like to ask why not a septic system instead of, it looks like you've got to extend quite a ways. So is there a reason why you would put a septic system in?
It makes sense, it was an old cesspool, it was next to this, and this, among other things, you had the ability to do a handicap accessible thing was built into the D-cell building, it's already finished.
I didn't answer my question.
Is a reason, it is more efficient use of, this is a better use, it's an efficient use, and it's there forever, we never thought that, it'd be an issue, we always viewed that it was all part of the golf course, well, it is part of the golf course system.
There's not a lot of room also with the desal plant, there's put in a septic system. It's kind of surrounded by fairways and golf course and wooded areas, so you have to clear cut the wooded areas. Well, dig out one of the fairways, but
I just want to be sure that this is not a way in to something bigger at some point.
well, I guess the only other thing I'll throw out is I'm gonna guess Widows Walk is a chapter 61 property. They're paying less taxes as recreation open space, so you get the option to buy it first before they sell.
We're talking about.
That was sorry.
I was just gonna say, no,
They
I'm
have
really
to start.
confused.
So before they can do anything else, you would have first refusal. So I'm gonna guess they're not paying regular taxes.
I own 2 parcels myself. I either want to build or do something, and I want to verify. I already had sewer on one, right, they have a betterment on the second. Right, they have full betterment.
So what technically they could do is they could merge the 2 properties and then you'd be paying a half betterment for the additional line for the extension potential. Did that answer your question? Or is that-
Yeah, so I'm trying to why is it a half betterment? It's a full betterment.
Well, that's one of the things Will brought up to me and I was gonna bring before the board, is that, it could be either interpreted as a full betterment or a half betterment.
You know, the only thing I speak to that is there's no bedrooms, there's no use. It's a seasonal use that is literally a handicap bathroom, people go in and out, it's not like a bedroom or apartment, there's nothing. And I believe there's precedent that in the past, you've done this in other places of the town.
I mean, you're extending it, it's not additional, right? One already goes into the snappery,
Yes,
right, so aren't we just extending that same pipe?
You connected, you plan on connecting that line, aren't you, Bill?
yes,
So connecting the existing line, so I connected the source system.
And half betterment is 8,000 and full is 16. I know it's.
Sounds like an additional connection to me. I don't know why we give them it for half.
Do you want me to get you the septic rules and regulations?
No.
It's
No, it's okay.
written in there.
No.
Is that, I guess my question is that parcel, what I'm afraid of is, how is it zoned now? Could they flip it tomorrow and make it a condo forever? I have no idea, I don't know where it's.
It should all zone residential down there.
yes,
Right, so they
Commercial zone down there.
Yeah.
And again, Bill might know better than I do, I'm gonna guess they're taking advantage of the tax break for open space recreation land, the 61A, agriculture, all those. So if they wish to convert the use, take it out of that, you get the right to buy it.
but they could, and
I guess the approval of the selectmen is to approve one handicap bathroom.
I guess the other answer, Andrew, would be if someone bought the property and they merged all the parcels, then they have the right to connect into the sewer because they have frontage on that. So all they have to do is merge those parcels.
I'm just trying to get as much money as possible into the sewer first fund, I just wanna get every dollar and make sure that we can extend sewer elsewhere.
If you're talking about future use instead of converting it into some sort of housing, if they bought the property, merged the parcels, then they have frontage on Hadley, which has sewer, and they would have a right to connect. Really, the funky issue here is for some reason, the club does not own all its parcels by the same owner, they broke it up into different parcels. Why?
But ultimately owned by the country,
All of them.
but just in
Right,
different.
because that's how the assessment does it, is when it's close to around 120 years, is when, and Kevin did this, and I think Lorraine gave a copy of that, the red line is where it is, it already exists. You're not connecting anything else to Hadley Road, it's simply within the fairway of the country club, they're connecting to the existing line.
Is it connected to the snapper, is that what you're telling us?
It's next to the snap.
So it's connected, somehow or other, the snappery is already connected.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and so is this connected to the snappery?
It's connected to the line that goes into the
It's the
snap.
same pipe, the
Yeah, it's the
same
same pipe.
I mean, it sounds, I mean, I'm fine with the 8,000. For me, it's already connected, they're just extending it into the existing pipe that's already there. The motion does say it's specifically just for that has any. Ensure that it's not extended. Do that as well, I imagine.
So the snappery has a restroom,
Yes, they have two, they have ladies in there.
and this is specifically handicapped, although I assume anyone can use it.
Correct. The old outhouse was obviously by its nature couldn't be used by people who had any disabilities or any other mobility issues.
Anybody?
Take the 8,000. Personally.
Do you need to put that in our motion for you, Kevin? Or no, it's in the regs, right? So
We had put it
it's
in the
not in our
regs,
motion right now, so
we had put it in the regs in the half, yeah, that's fine.
you did.
It's okay, though. Either or, if it's agreed at the half, that's fine.
You want to make a motion?
Also, I investigated waterless terminals, say 40,000 a year. And, water costs, all right. Move to approve,
Do that to the desalination.
I hope so. Move to approve, the sewer tie-in for Hadley Country Club, handicap restaurant.
Do you want to indicate it as a half tie-in?
Sure, we could indicate it as a half payment. Just clarify. Thank you.
Motion by Mr. Goodrich. Second. Seconded by Mrs. Connolly. All in favor?
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Move to the 7 o'clock public hearing for the poll petition. So Aaron, welcome back. Your name, please, and
Aaron Moore, National Grid Broad.
welcome back. You're a frequent flyer.
I am.
Okay. Where's this poll?
This new pole that will be installed is near 17 Maple Street, Scituate.
Okay.
Removing a tree guy and we installed a stub pole for the guide purposes of the pole line.
So it's currently in a tree like the
It is
previous
currently
ones?
in a tree, like previous one's tree is alive. You have to remove it from the tree. Well, removing the guy wire from the tree, but the tree's in good condition.
Okay. And Kevin, did you have some requests?
The only issue we have is our main water line from the water tank, which is right up the street.
Yeah.
Is right there on Maple Street. It's a transite line, so we would like a lot of hand digging there as well as notification before you guys go out and dig it with your crews, so that at least we're aware of it. If you did put a pole through our main line, it'd be catastrophic, or water for the guys. So, we wanna make sure we put that forward.
And digging into the job.
Yeah, that'd be great.
What'd you say, Aaron? I didn't-
I can add hand digging to the job as a additional item.
What is it?
Hand digging,
Hand
they do
digging.
hand digging
Hand
around the
digging,
area.
digging
okay.
instead of-
Sorry, I couldn't
Yeah.
You
understand
call
what
it
you
the
said.
wheel of death, they have an auger that usually goes in, and you know,
Okay,
dig it up.
all right. Does somebody want to amend the motion to reflect that? It's on page 7.
Move to approve the National Grid Plan number 30737944 to install one new pole on Maple Street, stipulating that it shall be hand dug.
Motion by Mrs. Conley, but one more before a second. Is there anybody in the audience that is here to speak to this? So let's be sure I did that. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Goodrich. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank
I
you.
have a question, gentlemen.
Oh.
When you were here last time, there was a gentleman here who had issues.
I saw this issue, we're no longer putting a guy wire near his property where instead installing a larger pole and just digging in deeper cement pits. So it's all that now.
Okay.
I contacted the folks and made sure this is fine.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda is amended entertainment license for the Drift Inn.
Hi there.
How are you?
Good.
Are you Nick?
Yes, I am.
Nick, just your name and address for the record.
It's Michael. It's 46 Edith Holmes Drive, Scituate, Mass.
So welcome. So I know you're here to talk about the Drift Inn and its new entertainment and small bar outside in the back of the,
Yes, in between the 9 to 10 floor.
okay,
So we're looking to have entertainment out there. 1 to 3 piece, live music. And it'll be more of the kind of like background music, it's not going to be, you know. So that's what we're looking to do, is just entertain people that's there, what I should do.
okay. People are having a difficult time hearing you, so I'm going to repeat what you said.
Sure.
So he is planning on entertainment in the back of the Driftway Inn. They have a new entertainment center in the back, which is the name of the restaurant at the golf club down at Widow's Walk. You would like to get a permit for entertainment up to a 3-piece group of acoustic singers and guitars with amplification, amplifier. 7 days a week between the hours of 12 and 9 p.m. is currently it. First I'll ask the board, if they have any questions. You currently have the same hours of operation indoors for your entertainment, or no?
No,
What's
it's
indoors?
going to be on the later. Just look,
You have what?
later. Yeah,
Goes
later,
later.
11 o'clock.
Okay,
We're just looking at 9 o'clock, so they're going to
right,
stay open.
I appreciate that.
But it is. I was trying to parse this all out today. So you're looking for entertainment Friday through Sunday?
Monday through Sunday. 7 days.
7 days.
But currently it's Friday to Sunday, 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. indoor only. So this is a request to expand the hours to every day and to extend the hours from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. So it's a significant,
Big change.
yes.
But wait a minute, but it's just outdoors that you're changing, is it still,
Yes.
the indoor license is still staying just for the weekends?
Yeah.
The only reason we, done that outside is because, like, parties and stuff like that. Plus, it's gonna be seasonal, it's not gonna be, it's like 6 months.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I'm not gonna, they think they just use the public Thursday through Sunday. But we wanna have an option just in case we do it. And the thing about it is, again, it's not gonna be loud music, it's gonna be more, just the background of people sitting there and stuff like that. And, there is no neighbors that will hear it. And because it's not gonna be loud, and there is no neighbors around.
Well, would the Riverway be considered a butter, so they close enough for neighbors?
I don't believe so, no.
No, okay.
And this indoor entertainment license for Little's Walk is Monday through Sunday.
Okay.
It's just different hours, Monday to Thursdays, 11 a.m.
Well,
to
I guess
10.
that was my point, different hours, it's an expansion of hours, and an expansion to every day versus.
It's every day now, it drifted inside.
Again, we're not, we want kind of every day, we're not gonna use it. It's just, if somebody take, ice cream or bag stuff like that, we got backup music, that's all.
I see what you're saying.
Okay. Any additional questions?
No.
Concerns? Yeah.
Yeah, the Haverly Country Club has indoor only entertainment, so this is different. And this is a golf club. Scituate Country Club, on the other hand, can do almost anything at any time. And they have neighbors too, so it's kind of like different hours for different places, and I assume it's got something to do with whether there are neighbors or not. And I would submit to you that there certainly are neighbors up at Haverly. There are certainly neighbors down at Scituate Country Club, and there are neighbors of the Widows Walk. So, and I would say that indoor entertainment is far less annoying than outdoor entertainment. And I'm sure that the outdoor entertainment will potentially, depending on the loudness, depending on where it's situated in terms of where the sound is going, has a potential to be more annoying to neighbors.
So that's why we want to petition 9 o'clock. We want to stop it. We know music after 9. And as I said, it's just 1 to 3 piece. It's not going to be, we don't want to cater to kids with that. So the music is not going to be like that. We're looking at, 30 people, 28, the age group is 28. So you're not going to have crazy bands there, you're going to have like a single guy and maybe 2 piece, 3 pieces max. What about drums and other that, it's just guitars. So, it's really not going to be that.
So
Small background.
this is meant to be entertainment for the patrons of the Drift Inn.
Yes.
It's not meant to be a function place, is it? I mean, is it
As
possible
I said,
that?
yeah, all we want it 7 days a week, simple reason, say like a bridal shower, stuff like that. Birthday party. That's what we want to utilize it for. But again, it will not be your live crazy bands. It'll be a 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 piece, depending on the occasion, and it will always finish 9 o'clock, 1, because we think they do people as well. And we keep going, but you don't want to. So that's the reason behind that. But again, it will not be crazy music. It'll be more background music, just to, have the ambience.
Have you been to a bridal shower lately? Just saying.
Does anybody in the audience have any questions or concerns? Yes, just your name and address, please.
I'm Lou Farrer, 38 New Kent Street. I'm the president of the Fairway Village Condo Association, and I do have a little bit of a statement to make.
Okay.
I think having amplified music, which is different from acoustic, 7 days a week, starting at noon, is not being a considerate neighbor.
No, okay, go ahead.
Excuse me. Residents of Fairway Village are not opposed to music necessarily, to any music. but we feel the proposal as presented will disrupt the residents' quality of life. We already have numerous disruptions from the locals, which we're going to try to live with.
And just
No,
so
at the
Mr.
golf-
Carlisle only runs the restaurant.
Pardon?
Mr. Carlisle.
Yes, I
only
am,
runs the-
yes,
okay.
I'm aware of that, sorry, I just couldn't help myself. No other golf course in Scituate, well, other than, office, entertainment outside, 7 days a week, all day. I mean, that would be all day long.
Can I ask you?
Again, we have no objection to some music, and particularly if you want to do it on the weekends. I know that the proposal is an attempt for the restaurant to bring in more revenue. But I don't think it should take precedence over, the rights of the abutters to enjoy their homes and decks. And I also have to comment that a 3-piece band with an amplifier is not going to be soft music. It's gonna be pretty loud. And I want to say that it's my understanding that TK's outside music has already been adjusted for hours and sound and so forth. And they're right in the business area.
Actually, I think it's pretty similar to.
It's very,
Yeah.
very,
Um,
but they have,
I think it's 10.
they're not having a band per se.
Correct.
And they're only having a vocalist with a guitarist with just acoustic music, not amplified. So I guess the other question I would have too, who's going to be, you're not there obviously all the time, but who's going to be in charge of monitoring how loud this music gets?
We have managers. They, you know, if I'm not there, Ali's not there, we do have managers that are in charge.
Okay,
And
all right. I guess in closing, does Widow's Walk management really think adding music will draw more golfers?
Yes,
That having music at your restaurant will draw more golfers to golf course?
yes.
Mr. Carlisle, you don't have to get into, we're
Oh,
just
sorry.
making a statement, so you don't have to get into that.
I mean, I'd say not. I don't think it's gonna draw more golfers. As I think that most golfers will not appreciate the distraction of amplified music while they're taking their shots.
Fair point. Fair point.
But then again, I guess maybe some golfers would appreciate having the excuse. Don't know.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you have said that your balls have come to me.
Yeah, thank you. Well, you know, I do take pause at 12 to 9.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's, I'm speaking, Mr. Carlisle.
Oh, I'm
Thank you so
sorry.
much. Do you have anything additional you'd like to?
No.
Okay.
Everyone, fine, just.
I do take pause at 12 to 9. It is a long,
Can I
it's a
ask-
long duration.
it's not gonna be 12 tonight, it's just the option of,
I understand, but
it's just, all we're looking for is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the option is somebody wants to book a party where you can have, like a single guy or something, sing. There's no way there's gonna be music 12 to 9 every day, you know? And even on the weekends, it's not gonna be all day. We're thinking of just starting around at 6 o'clock tonight. That's it.
So I have a question for you, Jim. What does Ian think about the potential of music playing all day long while folks are golfing? I
Do
think
you have
that's
any objections to this?
not at all. Just wanted to ask that for the record, because I think it's a good point.
I understand the lady, you know, where she's coming from. I just want to let her know, that's not what we're about. You know, yeah, 1, 2, 3 piece guitars, amplified, It's not gonna be bad. Tell you that it's not. And as I said, we just want music to add to the ambience of this. We're not looking to have a lot of that. We don't want
Understood.
That's a, I'll still remind Ed, as I mean, past actions are a great indicator of the average future. And we've run, any complaints about a hearing or anything that's happened, it's been very responsible. As a business leader in town, you've been responsive and understanding what's there. And you could get, I don't know if you can hire anyone to go from adult to nine, I understand you want flexibility.
Yeah.
And I also understand, right, that everybody wants, there's concern that it can be extremely loud for different periods. I think where it is and how the sound can travel, my gut is to see, some of these things you have to see how they play out. It's, again, you run a great business in other places where you don't have problems, and I have faith that if you can be responsible to neighbors when they are concerned because you've done it before there's an issue. That's where I am.
Yeah, I'd be more inclined to say, why don't we try Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday from 4 to 9 p.m., see how it works. Because I'm just not expecting,
visit.
but yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I think that would give the neighbors time to gauge it, and I'm sure that you'd be more than willing if it turns out that you have to turn the music around and the amplifiers around toward the clubhouse versus toward that, I think it'd be a good accommodation for you as well as a good accommodation for the neighbors.
Is that something that you would be amenable to?
Yes, and then we can prove to the neighbors that we're not here
What it's
to,
like? Okay.
so they can see what happens.
Any thoughts with regards to that?
Sure, it's been kind of halfway, lead us a little bit.
Can we make a motion?
Sure. Move to amend the Driftons annual entertainment license to include outdoor entertainment of up to a three-piece group of acoustic singers, guitars with amplification Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sundays from 4 to 9 p.m.
Moved by Mrs. Connolly, second by Mr. Goodrich, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck with that and see how it goes. Okay. Next is another outdoor entertainment permit is Fred here for 43 Oceanside Drive. Okay, and I do see Kim Stewart. Come on up. Yes, please. How are you?
Well,
Nice to see you.
small groups right there.
Yes. Still extensive discussion though.
Very good. I like it.
So Kim, you're here for the annual cornhole tournament, so you want to tell folks about your event?
Sure. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's on the 23rd from 1 to 6. We have a DJ. It's all going to be right on property at 125 Greenbelt Road, which is a community Christmas location. I'd love to plug it.
I know it's a great event. Andrew and I lost last
I
year.
was gonna ask, how'd you do?
I think we lost.
Yeah, we were right.
Yeah. I think we lost.
License denied.
But we're ready to give it another try.
Yeah, it's, we definitely need it, we're going on 35 years now, and we've gifted out about $35,000 just since January of this year.
It's amazing.
To our friends and neighbors, and so it's been amazing, and really the relationships we've been able to form with, Erica Suarez and the social elder services and the housing authority, there are the wings beneath us, because we couldn't do this without them, so.
Well, I appreciate the way that you've expanded and really just
Yeah, we're really expanding.
provide such a diverse amount of support. And we're really committed to
We
the entire
enveloped
organization.
stands this year, which was
Yes.
exciting. We're ready to serve.
Excellent.
So please give us the permit. We need the money.
It won't be on us to find out. Yeah.
Well, since two of your former select board members retired, don't know what to do.
Yep.
Interesting.
Thank you for that. Any questions for
I
Ken?
just remember being the Knights of Columbus packing stuff.
That's right.
Stuff they evolve, eating M&Ms while you do it.
Yes, yes. So that's great, great news.
When the sign up open, is it closed?
August 1st.
August 1st, the sign up.
I will be looking for your name,
Okay,
More sounds willing.
I'm willing. It's Saturday, August 19th.
It's Saturday, September 25th.
Oh, September 23rd, okay, it's the second one. Okay.
I'm a little off.
That's great. So we'll have to parse this motion here, so we'll just do Kim's motion.
I've got it. Move to grant an outdoor entertainment permit for a DJ on Saturday, September 23rd, 2023, from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. at 125 Mail Lawn Road.
Motion by Mrs. Conway, second by Mr. Goodrich, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good luck.
I'm hanging out, so.
We'll see you there.
I'll be
Okay,
here,
great.
I'll be
You're
here
gonna
for a
stay?
bit, yeah.
Okay, great. So we'll see if Oceanside Drive comes in.
I just asked Michelle to give him a call.
Okay. Do we want to move to board and committee openings? William Eggerick, is that, come on? Up?
Thank you for the
Please.
invite.
Well, just give us a moment. We have Lorraine puts together, Lorraine, Michelle, and Deb put together great background for us. And do you go by Bill?
Yes,
And just for the record, if you would mind stating your name and address.
William Hegrick, 14 Benjamin Lane, here in Scituate, Mass.
Excellent. And you're here to apply for the coastal advisory position.
Yes,
And do you want to tell us a little bit about your background and why you find this particular commission of interest?
my house may float away. Is
Uh-oh.
that a good? Okay. Actually, I own two properties here in town. One is on Lighthouse Road. My daughter moved down here, a little bit before myself. She was from the Cambridge area and she moved down South Shore. We used to have a second residence up in Newburyport for many, many years. And my other daughter is heading down this way. She loves this area. So with grandchildren, et cetera, and they would never come up to Newburyport going through Boston. We decided to sell that, and I found a place on Lighthouse probably about 6 years ago. She has been sick for a long time. I wanted to be closer to the kids, and I'm almost retired. Hopefully by next April,
Good.
I will be fully retired. So it was the move to get the both of us down here, where everybody's going to be. I've been looking for a resident. I didn't want a house. The Hatherley project, Seaside, I applied 2 years previous, and it took over a year to build out. So that's where I am currently. Background, dentist, Midwestern, Michigan, Tufts for postdoctoral work. I'm a specialist. My office is in Weston, Mass for 50 years. I think I'm the oldest dentist in Tufts there. They gave me my rocking chair a few years ago. Because I was there for 50 years teaching. Always volunteered wherever I was. My wife and I built a lot of playgrounds in Westboro, Mass, where we lived for 50 years with our kids, raised them. I was on the rec commission there for many years. I was president of Little League, Pop Warner, basketball leagues with my daughter, you name it, and involved because I could give that time. So I've always been involved in things. Down in the Lighthouse, we have a seawall problem. I'm right behind it. As you come on the point, the neck, area. I live next to Tommy the plumber, because people ask me where I live. And so I volunteered for the food pantry, and they don't need anybody, and I've other things that have come up, and I saw this list that you published. And I thought, you know, I've lived in Michigan with a water problem, I lived in Newburyport with a water problem, and for some reason, I decided to buy on the ocean right here in Lighthouse.
I love it out there.
And it's a beautiful place, you just can't, the house isn't big enough to really live during the winter. So that's why we got our permanent residence here. And I think looking at all the different choices here in town, getting involved where I live, I'd love to do it.
Thank you. We appreciate you stepping forward. Did you ask a question?
Yeah, I guess, you know, when you said Newburyport, I immediately thought, well,
Plum Island?
that's what I thought, yes.
No, I was
And of
in,
course,
I was in town, but they had
You were in
flooding
town.
problems too, yes.
Yeah, and thinking about the blow today, the Nantucket House
Yes.
falling into the sea, literally falling into the sea over the course of just a few months, it went from being okay to now it's gone. So I guess my just overall question for you would be, how would you outline what the challenges are to the issues that we have related to water in Scituate, seawater in Scituate? And by that I mean, we've got a lot of houses all along the coast with varying degrees of, you know, repair, disrepair, and how would you go about advising the town on prioritizing the issues that we have, and there are many?
Tons. We've been through storms. My daughter, first, 6 years ago, she was down next to Fire Chief Murphy, lived behind him when she first moved here. So there were at least 3 storms in a couple of years that she had to move back with me for a week while the water went down because she couldn't get in the house, etc. I don't know that answer. I mean, obviously, we're all faced with this. Down where we live, in Lighthouse is a small neck. You can put your finger through the walnut. I mean, it is really, really crumbling, which is part of just, we used to sit there for the sunsets. It's pretty there. And there's sections that very difficult, you can't even walk on the top of the wall anymore. It's just crumbling. So the only, I guess, focus would be is at least this section really gets handled. What can we do? And I don't have that answer, I'm not an engineer. But I'd love to be on the committee to listen to see what is going on, and if there's need to find out things, etc. That's why you volunteer, is to help. Just either whatever we could do. Studies, read articles, etc. I mean, I've been doing that. So I have the free time.
There's extensive, we've done extensive reports and studies, and really, they're all online, under the Coastal Advisory Commission, webpage. And I think the commission now really is trying to help prioritize, because it is pretty overwhelming.
It's the most difficult thing.
It really is.
Yeah, I've read a couple of the articles that were sent to me on the commission about the long-term and short-term problems. I know the downtown is flooding area, the point floods. I have a big sump pump in the basement. No, I understand all that, but if there's something, another body, another thought process. We had a cottage in Canada outside of Detroit where I grew up as a kid. We lost half of the property. It was 2 football fields in length for high water, and that was in the 70s. The Great Lakes keep going up and up and up, and never receded. So that was gone, and Plum Island has just been decimated. And they keep re-sanding it all the time, they have to pump out the isthmus there of the river, and then Salisbury and Newburyport get the sand. And the last time they did that was a couple of years ago, and 6 months later, all of that was gone, just washed away, and now you have a cliff in the area that was never there before. I've been there for almost 20 years up in that area. So I'm just acutely aware that there are problems, and I think we have to. I don't think we can fix the whole thing, and that's millions and millions of dollars. But that one little neck area, I think is pretty dangerous, because that's gonna go, and that water will swirl in there around and change the currents. And I think the downtown is really, it's got a target on it, and it's gonna be a serious problem soon. And I don't know, whatever I should.
Okay. Yeah, no, thank you. Andrew, some questions? Any
No,
questions?
that was my question. I mean, you can always tell someone's really smart, they're willing to say that they don't know necessarily, and I just thank you. Just, I mean, you've been on more boards than a carpenter, I think, with your background.
That's good and bad, so you have to take that into consideration. What is he, crazy?
I have a question for Lorraine. Is the coastal residential, so this is a very specified
Yeah, and
list.
then I take care of it.
Okay. So the,
We've had I had a person, James Canavan, resign today,
oh, we did? Okay.
Yeah. and I have some other people that
And
may
he's
be,
supposed
and
to-
there are currently openings as well on that committee, so.
Okay.
But this is the one that's got the
Yeah,
Yeah,
inside Scituate.
Right.
but that's new, so which is.
but there is
there
an
is
opening for
now.
Mr. Hayward, you
Gotcha.
know, available.
Right, because you're coastal. So we created the committee to have a very diverse viewpoint, so it wasn't just all coastal people, because the issues affect the entire town, and all the taxpayers, even us who live on the west end, we all pay for it. So we look for objectivity and cross-section opinions, as they go
I
through and do that.
certainly understand.
So, but the good news is that there is coastal that is, just opened up, which is great. I'm sorry, I cut you off, anything additional?
No, it's, again, I love the perspective of the outlook, and just thank you for.
Geographically diverse.
Right, yes. So just for your purpose, we typically vote at the end of the meeting, after we interview different candidates. You're welcome to stay and listen to the rest of the meeting, or Lorraine, we'll let you know that, the post, but we do take a vote. And sometimes we wait
If
until.
you have my
the
email, you can
candidates.
send me the note before, sure.
Yes.
I'd
So
love
thank you
to
for
and get
stepping
to
forward.
know more people in the town, which is another avenue of getting in there, getting involved.
Yeah, it's great.
Thank
We
you.
believe that.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much for coming forward. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Nice to see you in person.
All right.
Nice job.
So I am, let's see.
Mr. Boyajian and I.
Okay, we'll go back then to there before we get, would you like to come forward for your permit?
Yeah.
So we're going back to the 725 discussion and vote for 43 Oceanside Drive.
Right,
Hi,
how are you?
welcome. Just your name?
My name is Fred Boyajian.
Thank you, I was not pronouncing it properly, so I apologize. So tell us a little bit about the event that you're hosting.
Huh?
Can you,
I'm hiring.
that's fine, can you tell us a little bit about your event?
Then is I finished my last house at 43 Oceanside, and it's close to my birthday, so I'm having an open house. That's basically what it is.
Alright, and you're asking to have a permit for a live band on Saturday, August 19th, from
Yes.
6 to 9:30 p.m.
Yeah.
Have the abutters been notified?
They have,
Okay. Are there any abutters here that object?
Pardon?
I'm seeing if there's anybody. Mrs. Fuller, do you have any questions?
I just wanna make sure, this is a private event. A private event, yes, in a private event,
Yes.
yes. Just, sometimes we have people having events that they're charging for, so we just ask these questions. Private event, thank you.
Is that it? Yeah. Andrew?
That was my question, so,
I don't have any issues with 6 to 9:30, that seems reasonable to what we've approved in the past. Seeing that there's nobody here. So good.
good.
All right, you have a motion?
Move to grant an outdoor entertainment permit for a live band on Saturday, August 19, 2023, from 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at 43 Oceanside Drive.
Moved by Mrs. Connolly, second by Mr. Goodrich, all in favor?
Aye.
We're all set, thank you, enjoy, congratulations, and happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
In advance.
Okay, so we have ping ponged all around this agenda tonight. So I think we are finally, do you mind going early, Tom? You're okay? Here? Okay. We're at the 8 o'clock hour and it's only 7:40, so pretty good.
All right.
We play a good game of ping pong.
Yeah.
All right, so next on our agenda is the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. Tom Secor, who's our chair. Here to provide us with an update, and I'll let you all introduce yourselves. So we have young members here to give us an update as to some of their current initiatives and recommendations. So I will turn it over to you, Tom.
Okay, so, well, thank you for the opportunity. Tom Secor, Chair of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee.
I'm Bob Clark, and I'm the Human Resources Director for the town of Scituate. I'm also a member, town liaison, DEI committee.
Erica Suarez, Manager of Social Services for the town of Scituate.
Okay, so, yeah, I sent over, it's a brief slide deck, so there's only 3 slides that we're gonna go through tonight, and I'll explain why. So, for the majority of our time tonight, we're gonna focus on social services. If you go back and recall, when we started the committee, one of the things at the top of our list was to talk to the various town departments. There's a lot of town departments in Scituate, as you full well know, better than I do. And so what we did is we put out a questionnaire. Everybody responded, which was fantastic, and all the departments did a great job. They were thoughtful in their responses. So what we did was we prioritized a few different departments, the Scituate Police, some of the bigger ones, the police department, DPW, and then we essentially kind of smushed together facts, social services, Board of Health, and veterans. I always forget when Bob reminds me. And so ensuing conversation, well, we actually got a little sidetracked because a lot of other work, as you know, when the various times that we've been in front of you, to give you updates and recommendations on other areas that we kind of waded into as a committee, got back into the town departments over the last couple of months, and it became pretty apparent that social services kind of rose to the top for us, just in terms of some of the takeaways that we had from several conversations that Bob and I have had with Erica, as well as what we feel are some pretty tangible recommendations that we'll get into. We do certainly intend to pick those other departments back up. An earlier version of this slide deck actually included Scituate Police Department and DPW. But we want to give each department really proper due diligence, and I wasn't necessarily sure that we had done that yet. With social services, I'm feeling pretty comfortable every time especially. So, if we want to just, okay, so there's 2 slides on social services, and then there's just kind of an update on something that we call equitable it's hard for me to say, communications, that's on the last slide. So this first slide is just takeaways and highlights, essentially notes that we boiled down after these conversations and face-to-face meetings that we've had with Erica over the last several weeks. So, and I encouraged Erica and Bob to interrupt me at any time, add color. Please ask questions. Let's make this conversational as well as we can. Without necessarily reading every slide on the deck, because that's, for me, that's fingernails on the chalkboard with these things. Just a few highlights. So you can see here, I mean, Erica's been in her position for 3+ years. She is equaling it a one-person show. She is working 55 to 70 hours a week. She has dozens of clients at any one time. There's several aspects to her work. The Scituate Police Department relies heavily on her. The majority of 911 calls, without quoting a number, it's in the 80 to 85% range, the number that I've been given, but I don't actually have the actual metric. Have a 911 calls have a mental health component to those calls. And virtually all of those eventually find their way to Erica.
Sorry, what was that percent? What was that number again?
So the first, do you have the actual number?
I don't, and I don't feel comfortable sharing like an actual number. However, there has been conversation that, up to 80% has been mental health related. However, those calls can be clients I'm already working with. So there's a large component where I think that the police department would like to do more research into the statistics of what that actual number is. So I don't want the message to come across that is like an actual number. However, it is high. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we met a couple of weeks ago, might have been last week. Deputy Chief Steverman sat with us for over an hour, and yeah, she didn't dispute that number, but she also said, I don't have the actual number, but she concurred. It's very high. As did in a different meeting, Mandy O'Shea as well. I don't know her title, so she's lieutenant. So, I don't want to speak for Erica, but she has not had the time, the bandwidth to be proactive the way that she would like to be in terms of providing educational services to the town in all the areas that she is licensed and educated to provide to the town, which is a shame because she is fighting proverbial fires all day. One area that I want to note is the senior citizen community, because this was certainly eye-opening for me because I don't know if I just don't think along those terms when I think about mental health challenges and social services and so forth, but that is taking up a massive amount of Erica's time. There is a real urgent need I have in terms of depression, other mental health challenges, suicidal ideation, things that don't really get talked about too much in the general public. And that's something that I think just has to happen. We'll get into the recommendations soon enough, but do you want to touch on?
Yeah, so we were lucky enough to have a suicide awareness training for the elderly, and it was Talk Saves Live. And it was very eye-opening and, well attended by the community, not only seniors, but the family and loved ones. And I think that conversation really started, the conversation about the need and, really wanting to educate the community as a whole, not only, the elder population. I will say that a lot of the referrals that are coming in, the elder population is at most risk for suicide, which I think is surprising. However, that is, just the referrals that are coming into my lab. I don't want to speak of the other demographic areas where suicide is very high. And the statistics might, be different across communities. But the referrals that I'm getting in front of my, on my desk are, higher for the elder population.
And do you think that's because of your location in the senior center?
So there could,
Just that association?
So I actually am not in my office, but a lot. That's where my office is housed, but I would say most of my time is at the police station. Just because of the crisis calls that are coming in. Again, statistically, our goal is to really dig into like how many of those referrals are the elder population. However, I will say with those specific cases, the amount of time that is needed in order to give those individuals, the residents and their loved ones, is extremely high, and I don't have the time that I wish I had in order to serve those community members, because they're just getting a little piece of me because I'm like spread out across all these other cases that I have ongoing, as well as new referrals and crisis calls that are coming into the Scituate department. And I will say the senior center is amazing. I'm proud to be an employee of the town, and I'm proud to be in that building. I just wish that, the individuals who are homebound and, who are isolated and living in hoarding conditions had more access to the great things that the senior center provides.
That's great. Did you? No. Who do you report to?
Drew Shilley,
Board of Health Director. Thank you.
I will say too that Scituate is a part of a grant. It's
that third bullet.
It's a shared services grant, long name, long title, but thankfully we're engaged in this grant, and the Cohasset social worker has been a huge asset in able to help out a lot with the cases that are in Scituate. So I would be more burnt out, I will use that word, if I didn't have her. And she's been amazing. I'm very grateful that we're a part of that grant.
If I may ask, what would your typical day be like? I think people would be interested to know, because I don't know that a lot of people actually know what social workers do.
Right, okay. Every day is different, which is a part of my job that I love.
I was just gonna say that's how we live then.
Yeah, however, I don't know how to answer that. Taking calls from various communities, including the clergy, the library, community Christmas, the food pantry. So I'm constantly engaged with individuals in those realms contact me in terms of crisis. So those aren't, calls that are necessarily going through the police department.
Select board office.
Yes, yes. I'm honestly I'm like trying to think, and I'm tired, and I'm,
It's later. So it sounds like it's more reactionary.
Exactly.
Such
So my
volume coming
day
in
could be
that-
open tomorrow, however, by 9 AM, my day is completely filled. And there's rarely do I have a moment to sit down. It's constant, returning phone calls, reporting to the police station, you know, meeting individuals, you know, without notice, you know, very, you know, in the moment.
I'm just gonna divert to Jim just for a minute. Have we always just had one social worker in town, or have we had?
We never had one at all until a few years ago.
Correct.
Right.
Laura Minnie
Laura
was
was
there.
Laura's there for
Yeah,
many
it's
years, yeah.
still fairly new.
She was only
I'm
really
just
here.
amazed at the volume and, you know, obviously when we bring on new roles like this, it's a learning curve for us because once the role is there, the exposure is there and the
People
need
find you.
comes, right, the need
Yeah.
comes,
There's a
so.
need.
I'm really grateful to the equity committee for looking into this, because it is an equity issue. Because we're not able to get out there and service folks in the manner in which we need to. Just my commentary. Andrew, did you have any questions?
No. Do we know, I was trying to see what Marshfield and other towns do. Are there other examples of multiple or having or even
So
share, I mean,
So Hingham has an embedded social worker in the police department. Cohasset has a licensed social worker at the senior center, as well as Stephanie Saunders, who is the regional public health social worker who provides services to Hingham, Cohasset, and Scituate. I do know, as of recent, Marshfield is sharing a social worker in another town, I don't know specifically what town it is, as a co-responder to the police department. And I do believe that Marshfield has social workers within the senior center.
We were ultimately, I think, ahead of the curve a bit, because we, about 7 years ago, I think is when we first had a social worker. In some of these other towns, it's been within like the last 3 or 4 years, so it's becoming a much more prevalent sort of strategy for services.
Well,
And there was
especially as it relates to the police department, for sure.
Yeah, and there was a case outreach worker, I think was the title, which is in the last bullet on the slide. Who was working in the senior center in the county, and but she left to pursue another job. And we'll get into the.
So that's open.
So they can.
Yeah, that's open, right.
Full time?
Yes.
Oh,
Full time.
That, so in that role, the case, the outreach worker is housed at the senior center and, I'm not saying wasn't able to or, you know, wasn't allowed to, that's not what I'm saying, but most of her work was in the building as opposed to outreaching to, individuals' homes.
So maybe we need to reevaluate the job description.
Which is
What,
on the next slide. No, it's fine.
I think I read that somewhere.
Yeah, but I think to your, question about, because I didn't know what Erica did either, right? And just, I think I asked the question where, Christina, was in one of our meetings too. And we said, okay, well, this is your office. And Erica said, yeah, but I'm never here. I'm always at the police station. And I sat with Erica this morning for 45 minutes and, her landline was ringing off the hook. She carries 2 cell phones, which is always a sign in any industry that you're overworked. And, it's just,
Then I got yelled
and then she got yelled at. Yeah, because I was sitting in the wrong office or something.
No,
Yeah, so anyways,
So you wanna go to your recommendations?
yeah, because
Or is there anything else that you wanna make sure you share with us?
Yeah, I just, it's hard to say what my day looks like, but it's nonstop, constant, and always on my feet. So,
Well, people need help navigating, I think, a lot. And I think that's what a lot of social workers do. So I appreciate it and I can understand why, depending where the call is coming from, as to how you help them navigate.
right, yep.
So,
And I
I'm sure
think-
there's a lot of people work involved in navigation.
Right, and that's where I feel sad that I can't give more of my time to, the documentation and the applications and phone calls that residents need in order to, access services because, I'm in constant movement, mostly with crisis work. So that piece is missing, in terms of things getting done in a timely manner because I just don't have that time to get to.
It's a great point though, with the navigation piece. A number of us on the committee, we talk about it all the time because until we got involved in this committee, we didn't understand how many great services Scituate has. Right, and I think we're civic minded individuals or we have a committee, and so we don't know, who does know? I mean, there's some, just signing up for the emails, making sure that you're on those distribution lists, understanding how to navigate the website and so forth.
And I still don't know at all the wonderful things in Scituate because I don't have time to sit down and, start those conversations. And I have all these great ideas, but I just don't have the time to execute them. And, I think that's where you speak of in terms of education and preventative work that I think could be done, but it's, because of the lack of time, I'm not able to, provide that.
Well, and as a side note, your commentary is timely because we are posting for a communications person, title would be to do exactly that, to better communicate. We probably wrote the job description so you can tell us what's in it, but to, better advise folks on what's happening in town and be interdepartmental. So it's internal and external. And we only have 1,000 residents that are opted in to our town class, which is crazy low.
And to comment on that, I think especially in the elder population who aren't tech savvy and, it really impacts their ability to access services.
Okay.
Okay.
So the recommendations, we've already hinted at some of these, right? So, the first one is, the vacant outreach coordinator and case manager. The recommendation, really based on talking to Eric and to Bob, is to upgrade that to a licensed position. Similar to your license.
Yeah.
Will that be easier to hire, Bob?
It would, I mean, this has been vacant for a while, we really struggled getting solid applicants. But the other thing is that ultimately that position, I mean, a case manager does just that, manages a case. They can help with, SNAP applications, housing applications, health insurance applications, things like that. But they're not clinicians, and so what happens is if any of those seniors are struggling in any way, then often what will happen is that case manager, it used to be Evan, would have to refer over to Erica, so it's a, and then even in speaking with Linda Hayes about that position, Linda Hayes, the council on aging director, supervises it, and she has also felt like she needed more clinical services rather than generalist case management services. So, and again, I think we may have more success filling it as well, but it's just the need exists, particularly with that population. We're realizing it's underserved mostly because we don't have the resources to provide clinical services in that position.
I made a brief list of some like the mental health related things that elders experience, just because I think it's important, to say, because we don't think about these things often. So, grief of loved ones, loneliness and isolation, being homebound, lack of social connections, loss of self-sufficiency, chronic illness and pain, cognitive impairments, and financial troubles. But that's just a short list of things that I'm seeing when referred.
So that, I think from a budgetary perspective, that would be an additional
20,000 or so.
From the currently posted job. second recommendation is to, as you can see right here, is to hire a case manager that works reports directly to Erica. Does not need to be licensed, as you can see right there. So that would essentially be, +2, number 2, to our, current social services, council on aging, mental health. Lack of a better word. Number 3, so this has not risen, well, it's on the recommendations page, but I guess the recommendation is for the town to research, and conversations have been had with both Chief Thompson and with Deputy Chief Steverman around this concept. Now, what that would cost, who would pay for it, what the model would be, and so forth, all requires further research, but other towns are doing this. Ames doing it, Winthrop.
Yep.
And there's others.
As of recent, Marshfield, I want to say maybe Rockland, but Braintree, they have a very strong program with the social worker embedded in the police station. I'm actually meeting with them tomorrow to talk about that, which I'm excited about. Just to kind of have conversations about what other towns are doing. Yeah.
That impacted you in contract at all, Bob?
No, not necessarily. I mean, it's a non-union position.
Yeah.
The social worker position is non-union. Some of these towns have actually contracted with outside providers. So sometimes the provider is actually paying for and actually supplying and supervising the social worker, but it still comes embedded quote unquote. So, there's a lot of questions to still be asked. I mean, there's a question about whether or not an embedded model is the way to go, or if it makes more sense to just basically replicate really what is happening with Erica, which has been really successful with us. There's a question of how we want to fund it. Do we want it, if it's an external, provided by an external company or organization, that we don't have the same level of control over it? Is that something we want, or do we want to try to make it, to fund it internally, which, obviously that raises issues. So there's still a fair amount of work that has to happen. I know that the police department, I think what's happened is over the years, and one of the reasons I think Erica has been really flat out is because the model has really worked with our police department. I think they're very progressive. So they really try to look for alternatives to kind of to working with individuals or offenders, as opposed to just locking them up and charging them them up the services. It's been so successful that it's reached the point that, like, with one person, you can't manage it anyhow, So I think the police department they're definitely on board, but I think there's a lot of questions that have to be answered before we really know, like, what is the right direction if we can really do it.
One point that they brought up that makes, complete sense is Cohasset is looking to have an embedded social worker as well. And we're like, oh, why don't we team up? However, we report to different courts. So things like that in terms of, really thinking about what makes most sense. Because that sounds great, but you don't think about that, how that would impact the position.
Well, would that be something, Bob, that you would lead, kind of that group to pull together, the chief and Erica and we take a look at what the proper model is?
I actually would be, it will be interesting if we did get a position like this, what my case would look like. So I'm interested to see if that, would impact it in a more manageable way, but
I would imagine it would. Yes, but I would imagine it would.
Yes.
Especially if their volume of calls is so high, classified as mental health issues, just their strategy. That in conjunction with changing the title to a licensed worker at the senior center, for all positive solutions.
And in the conversations Erica and I had in the past, past, I mean, she's talked at length about doing proactive work, you know, so community groups and trainings and things like that. These are all things you can't do when you're up till 10 at night because you have to pick paper someone. You know, I mean, everything is reactionary, and so we're not able to provide proactive services. So it's really about resources and capacity.
And the top save live that we did was great, it was amazing, and the turnout was great, better than what we had thought, I think. And, you know, the elder population wants to learn more, about different topics, mental health related, LGBTQ plus related, all of these great things, however, you know, we aren't able, or I'm not able to plan those things because of the other aspects.
So I imagine you could at least in the intro work with Linda and her staff to do some
Identify
outreach,
speakers.
identify speakers to come in and get that as a priority as a topic, you know, give her some topics that you see would be most impactful, and I'm sure she's got some help that she can go out and find some of those speakers to come in. I'm guessing, but
I have a list compiled of all of the people I want to reach out to that are able to provide those, so I mean, you're absolutely right in terms of asking them to, you know, to help with that aspect.
Yeah. Makes sense to me. Yeah, do you have anything else?
No, that's a lot.
Well, I'm glad you all came forward. I'm sorry about your workload. You know, paying for your quality of life. We want to make sure that we keep quality employees like you. We don't want her to be a social worker. So I am so grateful to all of you for really digging into this, you know, everyone, and if we can make some immediate changes that will make a difference, whether it's that, like, you know, upgrading the position so we can get you some more professional help right away. That's about right.
I appreciate that, that's helpful.
Do we have 2 minutes left here? So, yeah, and then obviously we're gonna have to find, I think the second step is for you and a group to get together, generate to see what that Scituate police the solution is. Right?
Absolutely.
Get that group together, figure that out. You're coming in right as we look at budgets, so good timing.
I do want to
Continue
stress that I really am grateful to be working for this town. The individuals I work with, you know, are all amazing. And
Yes, appreciate it.
I mean
Don't-
that.
Don't worry about coming forward, that's, you're safe. You're safe with coming forward, you know, the only way we're gonna improve our services is to really understand what's happening, so. Okay.
I appreciate it.
Any other questions? I know you wanted to go quickly to the communications piece, did you want to?
Yeah, I mean, I'll make that I think Marty, you already touched on it. We're calling it the town communications specialist because I think that's what we heard
Good title.
in our meeting last week. That doesn't mean that that's going to be the title. And I'm including this because this is the term that we've been using for probably over a year, because a lot of the things that we were able to identify, and I touched on it when I said, you know, a lot of us didn't understand how many great services were in town. So, you know, why didn't we know about them? What can we do to improve the dissemination of those communications, whether it's, you know, push, pull, mail, whatever, right? And I understand it's a lot, right? So, I mean, one of the biggest wins that we kind of laugh about probably shouldn't laugh about it, but as a committee is we found Google Translate and got it implemented during one of our DEI meetings. Remember that? Bob got on the phone with somebody and said, hang on a second, and he goes, refresh the website, and we were able to Google Translate to, I don't know, however many languages there are in Google Translate, a couple hundred. But, you know, that's not enough for us because it's at the bottom of the website. How do we push it up? That would be a website redesign, I'm told. And I don't doubt that. I'm not a web developer, but so these are just the types of things. So when this position gets hired, they would be invited to our meeting. And we would love to, you know, fill them with recommendations, and some of them are here. Because we do know that, you know, I wanna say there's 10 languages spoken other than English in Scituate public schools, for example. And it is, I mean, is it a massive issue in Scituate? No, but it's an issue. And getting the proper mailings in the place of whether it's a senior or whether it's you know, someone that doesn't have access to a computer, whether it's a senior resident, what have you. These are all things that I think we can stand to improve. You know, we've talked quite a bit as a committee about this. There's a needs assessment form on the website that I think hardly anybody knows about. How many are we up to? There's under 20 households that filled it out. It takes about 3 minutes. Now, where does it go? Who uses it? I don't know.
Goes to the fire department.
It does, right,
The fire department evaluates it and then puts it on record, I believe.
Was it on CAD system?
Excuse me?
Goes in the CAD system, integrated dispatch. So if there's a particular, one of the examples I use is you have children who might be on the autism spectrum, lights and sirens can set them off. So there can be a note in the CAD system that says, when you get close, shut off the siren, shut off the lights. So that you're not escalating the situation just by
I
pulling.
mean, and I agree with the committee, you know, when I went and looked at that form, there, you have no idea what it's for. It just says needs assessment. Doesn't say what the implications are, what the benefits are, so.
I didn't know it existed.
Yeah, sorry, exactly. No, neither. I mean, it's, so this is just some of the great work that they're doing as they continue to dive in. Those are simple fixes once we get our, even if we don't get our communication person on board in like 6 months or whatever. It's not a difficult fix to go to the website and change it and tell somebody.
Yeah, so that's a link right there.
Yeah.
Just click on it. Brings you right to it.
I should add to this too, though, that I know that at the senior center, they've actually sat down with seniors and gotten all that information, you know, handwritten, and then input it into the system. So we've only had 20 or so people
that
input, right, so it doesn't mean that we're not getting that information from
Thank
some
you for that
residents, so
clarification.
so.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, you know, if someone's not at the senior center.
Right, because as Jim said, it's not just senior related. It's-
Bob worked up a draft job description today, so we're pretty close to having the job description done from that posting on.
Great, thank you.
And I put some sort of DEI related, focused on the job duties, so they'll know, you know, I mean, making sure that, you know, I think that would be, we would want to see that as a focus of this job, making sure that the information that we're getting out there is accessible to anyone regardless of, you know, whatever language or disability or age, anything like that.
Excellent. I mean, it's a huge piece.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
As always, it's so detailed, great recommendations. You all spend a lot of time, you know, diving in and really understanding what the town's doing, so appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Those there behind you as well, too, with your leadership too. Anything else that, thank you, thank you for everything. So great. Anything?
No, thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
thank you so much, and Erica, so nice to meet you in person. Okay, great night. Action steps in there. Alright, so I think,
Excuse me, may I just
Yes.
have one comment?
yes,
Madam Chair.
name and address.
Ann Burbine, 10 Acres Road. These people are worth their weight in gold. And whomever you bring on needs to be compensated so that we keep them. And I mean, we really have to start upping what we pay people. Because it's so important. You can't get the best unless you pay.
I think Bob should know that.
I hope so. Sincerely. Thank you.
Yeah, we agree. Good night.
See you guys.
Okay, so I think we are down to discussion and vote, special town meeting warrant. Anybody disagree with that? Okay. And all over the place tonight.
Beautiful lines.
What do they call it? All right. So we were provided a list of the potential articles. Nancy, are you doing this, or Jim? Anybody? No one? Is anyone coming up?
Jamie, like,
Except to close the warrant, you don't have to vote what goes on.
No, I understand that, yeah, so we have, what, 18 potential articles?
Flip the page, please.
Yeah, 21. Okay. The only one I had a big question on, and Andrew did too, is the change to the leash bylaw.
It's petition article.
petition article
Do we have a
is,
copy of what it is, what they're asking?
I haven't seen it yet, but it's
Yes,
basically
I-
to allow a dog to be in close control and not be on a leash.
Oh, so there you go.
There you go.
That's what you
You might be in compliance.
It's not to define close control.
You have to exempt the road block.
No. So everything else in the Cedar Point, petitioner's article for the seawall. So we'll see what we roll that. We've got your standard budget reconciliations, some grant matches, some grant deficits, capital plan updates, conservation, care of conservation properties, some pay downs of some debt, transfers to reserve, establishment of stabilization fund for opioid settlements. I'm curious to hear about that. That is interesting to me.
That's because we were forced to close them out to free cash.
The ones that we got from the big drug settlement.
There was no new legislation that
So let's go to a segregated account, but the legislature, we're considering legislation for over a year.
Yeah.
To just allow you to set up the account and then get, so you set up the account and then transfer the money from free cash into that account.
Community preservation projects that are still pending. So we've got the Purple Dinosaur Little League Field feasibility study, the Lighthouse additional contingency funds, which we talked about earlier. Tennis court design phase, they came in front of us a couple weeks ago. Pickleball courts, we need that group to come in front of us with recreation, in my opinion. And then community housing, set aside.
About $9,600 short for last year, because of all the additional interest in stadium.
In affordable housing.
Yeah, for the 10% requirement.
10%, okay. Stockbridge landfill, additional funds for that study that we've done. Regional sewer, and then acceptance for the, removing police here from civil service, which you've already negotiated, but we have to bring that to town meeting, right?
Yeah.
And then some zoning bylaws.
That'll come off because I didn't receive anything complaining inspection, so.
Zoning bylaws are
Yeah,
coming?
I left it on just in case, but
Okay.
right now.
Just because they're not ready yet.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, based on
I think
my
it's
meetings,
annual,
yeah, based on the meetings that I've been at, they're aiming at annual meeting, not special town meetings.
Any questions?
One quick one, is there any reason, or does that not even have to go to town meeting, if we want to make any changes to the revolving fund, things we talked about on our last?
If you want me to add something to amend general bylaws, I can, that would have to be open article.
Right, so if we wanted to do, for example, solar array for electricity and technology, that might have to be.
Does it have to be annual, or can you do that as special?
Do it as special.
Time?
You could do it as special, because it's an existing, you're not establishing a new one. I just have it to the list.
Would we be able to immediately do whatever the changes or, so there would be some benefit to doing it sooner rather than later, I think.
Yeah, because they come in then.
Yeah.
And the technology can be related to, monitors for smart meters, stuff like that, so yeah.
Sure.
What was that article? Sorry.
Amend general bylaws, section 10260 revolving funds. Section 10260 revolving funds. Sad that I have never noticed that part of the general bylaws.
You mean you weren't reading that?
No, I happen to know that section off the top of my head.
Doesn't memorize. It's scary.
It is scary.
That's great, that is.
Anything else on that?
You know, I think that's plenty for the discussion.
Yeah, it's long,
Yeah,
it's a
the
long
terms
list of special.
in terms of Stockbridge landfill, I know the board, we talked about, DEP has to have a community meeting, they set it for the first, I believe. That is not going to be, that will not be rescheduled
Oh, it is, okay.
at the request of the citizens group.
Oh, okay.
I don't have a date for that, they're trying
Okay,
to
good,
work
we
on
just
something.
okay, thank you for that. Okay. Anything else? No?
No.
All right, we'll move on to the next, which is executive action for the board.
You actually have to close the warrant.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to close the warrant.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Move that the select board close the warrant for the special town meeting to be held on Monday, October 16th, 2023, with revolving fund added.
Yeah, it's in.
It's in there.
Motion by Mrs. Connolly, second by Mr. Goodrich, all in favor?
Aye.
So the special town meeting warrant is closed. Thank you for that.
People are already calling, asking for a copy of the list today, just so you know.
Okay. Do we feel, good with moving through appointments? Right now, looks like we're taking care of the coastal advisory commission, we've got some renewals as well as some new folks, but Darren's going to read the,
Sure,
right?
sure. Yep.
So we have Bill, William Hedrick, Chief Mark Donovan, who is probably replacing Patrick, I would imagine, right, Larry?
No, he's replacing Chief Murphy.
Oh, okay. The fire chief is a designated member?
Yes.
Well, I don't, it's not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have to be the chief, but that's good. Okay. Good.
I mean, if he chooses to send someone in his place
Yeah, he can.
on occasion,
Yeah.
I told him that.
That's fine. Okay. Someone make a motion?
Move to appoint the following individual for a term of 3 years or until a successor is named to the Coastal Advisory Commission, William Hedrick and Chief Mark Donovan.
Motion by Mrs. Conley, second by Mr. Goodrich, all in favor? Aye.
Move to reappoint the following individuals for a term of 3 years or until a successor is named to the Coastal Advisory Committee, Jill Emery, Matthew McKinley, Brendan Collins, and Kevin Cafferty.
Moved by Mrs. Conley, second by Mr. Goodrich, all in favor? Aye.
Sorry, I killed Joe's name.
That's okay, there's one more for the conservation.
Reappoint Brendan Collins to the Conservation Commission for a term of 3 years or until a successor is named.
Moved by Mr. Goodrich, second Mrs. Conley, all in favor? Aye. Okay. I think that's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So thank you everyone for coming forward and volunteering, and congratulations. Good perspective. So we do have some correspondence. And I was remiss and I did not tell the public that both Mrs. Karen Canfield, and Sue Garrison, both on vacation this week, so that's why they are not present. So I apologize for that, she said that at the beginning. So we do have, some correspondence from the Regional Vocational School District, which is just an amended agreement. They've updated for us to review. I personally did not see what the big changes were.
Add Marshfield.
Just add Marshfield
Yeah.
to it, okay.
And then I think there was some housekeeping things in the actual agreement, but nothing big deal was Marshfield.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even read this.
There was
So
the
this
joint
is
school in
the,
town.
we also have some correspondence by the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, so basically what this is the development down, across from the BTA. The town, the planning board has submitted, all the paperwork that they need for, I think it's 18 of those units, 18, trying to read this, to be affordable, 12 affordable rental units out of a total of 78, at the residences in the Driftway. So once they receive their certificate of occupancy, they will be able to advertise these, which is great. So I think they anticipate September, being able to start taking applications for those affordable units. So the units will serve households with an income at or below 80% of the area median income. And we still roll to Boston, correct, Jim? Is there any update on rolling to Brockton?
There's not, there's a bunch of different stuff, different communities on that. I did speak to Pat O'Connor's office a while ago. The difference is minuscule.
Really?
It's not, yeah, it's not a big deal.
Not a big deal. Okay, so that's great news. Stay tuned for that. We also received some correspondence from David Ball, president of the Cedar Point Association, with regards to their citizens article for seawall replacement on Cedar Point. So that is the citizens petition that we have on our special town meeting warrant. So that is what that letter is from. And then we received correspondence from a resident out in the West End, Tracy Bodette, asking for us to take a look at Summer Street and sidewalks. So I did respond to Mrs. Bodette, and let her know that there is a current evaluation taking place, and the criteria on how we evaluate and move forward on different sidewalk projects. I also advise her that it is a scenic road, so it will be subject to more planning board street maintenance in case of request. So I did respond to her today.
I don't think I have that letter.
I'll forward it to you. I just sent her an email. And that's it. And so do I have any liaison reports?
Water Resource Committee session met last week. One was actually about communication. We collected, goodness, 35, 40 different email questions on social media about the water department. Kevin Caffrey came in and answered them all, so they're ready to kind of put together a omnibus answer of most of the questions. Kind of posting it out there to make sure, some of them are questions people had before, but just the ones who
Well, we have a lot of new residents, so you get a lot of the. And stuff has changed, but yeah.
Yeah, it's good. One tidbit, we found out, so this time last year, we were 320 groundwater complaints, as of now, we're only at about 60, 70. If anyone does, yeah, issue, just for the data point as well.
Right. Sometimes it gets remediated, right. Did you have a comment, Jim?
No, I mean, it's even more important this year because as of right now, we have water.
Right.
So when we
There's
get
no
through
strain.
when we get to the heavy use, we can start flushing earlier. And we'll use those data points to kind of pinpoint where we want to do targeted flushing. So if you have an issue, let us know. It could be one of those places you say, let's go flush there. When the weather turns a little cooler, so.
And what's the address again? The brown water, is it brown water at Scituate? And they
Email
don't know?
address, yeah, that's a bad one.
Okay, just as I.
For sure, it's just like water.
Anything else? Karen? I'm good. I don't have anything to report, well, I did attend the school building assistance. MSBA, the Halloween project, so they are still looking at those 3 different options. I wasn't clear, they haven't voted on one specific option before my arrival.
They're moving on to the evaluation of those options, there's 5 of them. And they have the cost estimates, and then from there, they'll wind it down to line.
Okay.
What else good?
I didn't think I missed that, but I just wanted to double check, just I just took those ones purchase. Alright, so that's all we have. We need to approve the minutes, I don't think we've done that yet.
Move to accept the minutes for the select board meeting held July 11, 2023, and the retreat held on July 13, 2023.
Moved by Mrs. Conway, second by Mr. Goodrich, all in favor? Aye. That's everything. And that's it. Have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.